Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Anthony James from the Grindhouse Podcast. We're gonna chop it up Wednesday. We're gonna obviously shifting day by day because we have this special camp coming up in Bloomington, Illinois, April 11th. And right now we have, I'm going to say, founder of the Performance Lab, and we'll just leave it at that. And then I'll let you, if you want to correct me, I'll let you correct me later. But founder of the Performance Lab, Austin Curtis. Austin, I appreciate you joining me, man. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, it's a blessing, man. So I guess, like I said, I'm gonna find out some things about the Performance Lab because obviously we've been up there and we've partnered with you before. So, but you grew up in Bloomington, correct? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
correct.
okay. So what made you just start the Performance Lab, and what was the key point? Like, you know what, I need this here in my city.
Um, Really, when I took off from out of Bloomington, I joined the Marine Corps, went out to California for a little bit.
Mhm.
Got to see California football for what it was down in down in Southern Cali, and it was way more than what we were doing in Central Illinois.
Mhm.
So we do got a lot of talented kids. Basically, just I wanted to help them get to college. It was like more push it than what it was before. Like show them it was something they could attain if they started working towards it.
Mhm.
A lot of it was just introducing them to like the process of getting to college,
Mhm.
and I mean it was just something that really wasn't taught a lot around here. So I just wanted to bring that to them.
Yeah. And we're saying so much more of that in the Midwest. I grew up in Michigan, so I actually have a buddy who he trains in Michigan because kind of this very same reason where, like, growing up, we didn't have other facilities, trainers, outside trainers. Essentially, what you did inside the school is all you did, and
Right,
knowing and you seeing it, you know that that's not enough for these kids in
right.
order to get to that next level. So, I guess for you, with the kids that you have that have been are talented in Central Illinois, how have you seen that your program has helped them to kind of achieve these goals?
I would say a lot of the program is. I would even a lot of the kids already have the physical skills. They have,
Mhm.
they have speed. I helped them attain the speed to like hang with the bigger guys. As far as like when we refer to the bigger guys, it's we compete against the Chicago schools in St. Louis, and we're usually the area where schools will walk through. Like they don't pay us any attention because we're just a smaller area. But I mean, we do have kids who could play with any of those kids, and it's just we need to get them exposed, and that's a big part of what I wanted to help them with and do.
Mhm.
So, like for us, it's a big on the mental part of it. Like our kids got to be 10 times mentally strong and capable than everybody else because it's an uphill fight for us. We're the underdog no matter what. So I'm trying to get that, like, as easy it is for them to quit, just be like, I'm cool, do my 4 years in high school. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I try to get, tell them, like, no, you can do it. Like, you just can't get frustrated and quit when it gets hard. So working on the mental is everything, and then the speed comes next, and the weight room is the third for us.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why it's become a good partnership with Grindhouse and yourself because I think about when we started in the beginning, it was kind of just me and Terrell, our sons, kind of, we were working, it seemed like 30 hours a week on top of the things they
Mhm.
were doing just to get to college, just that
Right.
was the goal. His son obviously ended up at the University of Iowa. My son ended up at the University of Washington where, it's just, you have to put the work in outside of what you're seeing and be that type of player for your teammates and things like that. So, how do you feel like your program has helped the schools in that area so far? Because again, we know that training, a lot of coaches don't like outside training. We can probably agree with
Yeah.
that. There are some coaches who
Yeah.
probably hate it, but when you look at the product that's on the field, especially with your kids, how do you feel like it's helped their teams?
I would say you could see with my kids, you could see the confidence within their movement. Like
Mm-hmm.
they don't second guess their back pedal. They can open up and run, and they can, if they do get beat initially, they do have the speed to make up and make plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like that I would say that's the big thing. My kids are playmakers. Like they will go out there, they hit dudes, they run 100 miles an hour. I mean, they will put a cut on somebody and make you like ooh ah. We have those dudes, and it's it's I am the guy who will like I egg them on, like go out there, do your thing, have fun, like talk up a little bit. I mean, do it correctly, be humble about it, but like like have a chip on your shoulder. You need that because again, we are the underdogs within the state of Illinois.
Mm.
I mean, because northern Chicago and like down in southern Illinois, there are programs down there that schools will go see just because they're known programs.
Mm.
Like, I hope that our schools in our area get to that point where a college coach just walk in and be like, I know I'm going to see 5 dudes here today that can play at my school.
Right.
That is something I would love to be a part of with the high school coaches. For the most part, I do have positive relationships with the majority of them.
That's good.
Some of them, like, uh, I wouldn't say tell people not to go, but like school is definitely priority. I
Mm.
try to work around that as best I can. I just that's where like my program had to shift up a little bit. So if kids were at the high school weight room earlier in the day, then I focused more on their speed and their recovery more so than the weight room instead
Right.
of doubling up and killing them, which I've done that in the past. I mean, and it's like, all right, ego's got to drop out of this conversation, and I have to. In like the last 2 years, I've reevaluated and like readjusted like what kids are doing, just so they're not, doing triple the amount of work and get nothing out of it, other than just
Well,
being super broke down.
exactly. It's become a partnership, essentially,
Yeah,
between
it's
you, the kids, and the school. That's essentially
yeah,
what we're looking at.
it's the school part. It's like more along the lines of I'm communicating with the kids,
Hmm.
and they'll communicate with their coach, and they'll be like, "Hey, I do outside work," and then if the coach knows that, um, they're usually pretty civil as far as like, do this here today with me, and then you do this with him. Or if the kid has a PE class as well on top of school weightlifting, like they might let them like do like some more chill stuff in the PE class instead of
Yeah.
doing something crazy. So it's worked itself out for the most part. I mean, would I love to have like more time with them, like, and be more involved with the high schools at like with them? Like, absolutely. But like,
Mhm.
slow and steady.
Yeah. Well, that's all you can ask for, and I guess you can kind of look at it like this, when, from your own experience, obviously with sports and stuff, and your military experience, like, do you feel like that's kind of influenced you with how you kind of, with your approach when it comes to the kids as well?
Yeah, I would say my approach is as far as like my class I ran, it's very strict, like strict setup,
Mhm.
military like style. But like I used to have like, yeah, I'd yell back in the day. Like it was like, but like the kids were different. Like in 2010 and 2011,
Yeah,
12, 13, like those kids enjoyed it. Like they took
yeah.
it. Like, and there was no like, oh, I don't feel safe or my
Mhm.
feelings. Like now I cannot like go full tilt like that. Like
Yeah,
I got to say my piece and then go back and be like, all right, this is why I said this.
right.
And, like, not like, how do you feel about it, but like, what, you know, upset you about what I said? Like, so I had to like really hammer down on the communication.
Yeah,
I mean, and like where before I could just yell for 3 hours straight and
and
everybody would be
they're gonna
cool with
take
it.
it.
Right. And the thing is, it's just like I tell them it's not like yelling. Like I'm not degrading. Like you
Yeah,
guys are gonna get to college and you will have a coach who
worse.
make you wonder why you woke up that day. Like
Hmm.
so it's like you can't I just refuse to adhere to the baby talk. Like
Yeah,
everything's gonna be okay. No, it's not.
you're
You
right.
better figure it out or somebody else is, and you're gonna be out of a job if you don't.
I
So
like to tell our kids that some days it's just gonna be your day. That their coach is just like, no, they're coming in there. It's your day to take this. That's just all you can do.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So
So.
it's that part is the mental part of it, and like I said, the preparing them for what is coming to them. Like it's this phrase they say, ask what, be careful what you ask for. Like, oh, you want
Mhm.
to be a D1 guy, do you? Okay, well, wait till you meet a D1 coach, like an
Mhm.
offensive line coach or defensive line coach. They are aggressive human beings, and if you're not ready for that, you might not make it a week,
Yeah.
and that's just the reality of it. So, like, getting the kids, because like we live in an area where it's nice, like comfortable. I mean,
Mhm.
it's not, we do have our parts, where there is poverty, but like for the most part, the kids here have a very nice life, and
Hmm.
it's not live or die for their scholarships.
Yeah.
And we try to teach them, in some places it is live and die for their scholarships. It's making a huge impact in families' lives for them to get that. And some of our kids like have the benefit of the doubt of not understanding what that feels like, but like we're trying to provide that hunger for them. So like when they do get there,
Hmm.
they're fully prepared to go against, an athlete who is there on that capacity. So
Hmm.
that's the mission, essentially like preparation for life.
Yeah. How and I'm gonna ask you this because again, we're talking about that hunger because again, we to me football that's all football is how hungry am I right now to get to this next level. And that next level may not always be like I'm thinking NFL or college. I mean that next level because it may be depth chart,
Hmm.
it may be just skill set. How hungry are you to get to that next level? So I guess my question, because you gotta have parents backing. And
Right.
parents have, how do they convey your message? I'm sure that because they have you're training their kids, they're gung ho or whatever you're doing, but when they're not there, when it comes to diet and when it comes to even some recovery and things like that, how are their parents helping with your message as well?
Um, well, for the most part, my parents are great. I mean,
Hmm.
they're very they're on board with like how tough we are on them.
Hmm.
They do understand. I tell them like the weight room is fine. Like all the speed stuff is definitely important, but all the work that requires for them to grow like one is the sleep and the eating part. And it's the most challenging part because like where we're at, um, we're still on the message of for the most part, all of our 14U kids are playing multiple sports
Hmm.
and they all overlap. So like at
Hmm.
some time they're playing two sports, maybe three at the same time. So then at that point, like that's where we have to reiterate to them, like, okay, I know you want to lift heavy weights, but like I'm not allowing that until you get your eating and your sleeping on point.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, then you're going to get hurt, and then that completely negates what we're trying to do in the weight room.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you got to play the reward game with them. Oh, you want to squat with a bar on your back, and you're 14 or 15 years old? Well, let me see your food log.
Hmm.
Let me see your let me see how what time you went to bed last night, what time you woke up. So like we hold them accountable to things, and like once they buy into it, they say we're not joking around. Like then they like start acting like young college athletes essentially.
Yeah. And they definitely got to understand that sleep is important, 'cause especially when you got 5 a.m. workouts, and that don't
Hmm.
mean you show up at 5 a.m. That means that the workout starts at 5 a.m.
Right,
So
right,
that is a hard thing, I think, for a lot of kids who they think that they're serious about it, but they don't know what serious is. And I think that's why having programs like yours definitely helps kids with getting better, but not just even with sports. Like you said, you're talking about life as well, where you had your military background, your own sports background, where it kind of prepared you, to actually just be able to teach kids like, hey, if you want this, you have to show you want it, not just say you want
right.
it. So, and I think that's the hardest start. I think that's the hardest part about. I usually with parents, it is with kids, which
We
you know.
we do have a we do have a 5 a.m. crew, and I
Mhm.
would say right now it's like 50-50 of uh 14U kids and high school kids.
Okay.
Like I got a ton, like I got about 8-10 year olds in that group, and
Wow.
like I mean, they make it easy for me to call it the high school dudes because these it's like I got 10 year olds waking up, like,
Yeah.
and their parents are driving them here, and
So,
so I was asking, it's like you tell me you want to be a D1 athlete, but you say 5 a.m. is too early, like you're
mm,
not gonna make it. Sorry.
yeah, no, D1 is not for you. No, actually, no,
No,
no football is for you at that point. So,
no, it's
yeah.
crazy. Like it's they like can't imagine waking up at that time.
Hmm.
I was like, well, I don't know how you're gonna make it in D1 because once spring football starts, what time do you think they work out? It's
Oh,
the
they're.
crack of dawn. And I was like, it's gonna be freezing outside depending where you're at. I was
Mhm.
like, it's gonna be a lot of uncomfortable things going on. And
Exactly.
if you can't get up at 5, if that's the hardest thing in your life, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, football may not be for you. You can be a student.
Right,
We still need students, regular students. So,
right.
So when it comes to I know you brought up 10-year-olds. So what's your age range as far as your program right now?
Hi, I'm Shane with Restore Hyper Wellness right here in Murphy, Texas. I'm proud to say we're partners with Grindhouse Sports Training just next door in Wiley. Now, Coach Washington over at Grindhouse Sports Training has done a phenomenal job at not just building out a business in the community, being a pillar in the community, but also being an inspiration to the young, talented kids that he trains each and every day. Now, last year, Coach Washington started a podcast, a Grindhouse podcast. The links are below. I encourage each and every one of you to go check this out, listen to it, like it, enjoy it. Coach Washington will walk you through his personal experiences, what motivates him, what made him what he is today, and why he's so effective at being a phenomenal leader to these young, talented individuals. Check out the podcast. We'll see you soon.
We go literally. We tell the parents, like, if your kid's old enough to play sport, they're old enough to train for a sport.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if we have a 5 or 6 year old, they're not doing the same thing as a 15 to 18-year-old. We
Mhm.
just adjust like what they're doing within the group. I mean,
Right.
but I'd like to do it like that for like reasons of leadership. We got our 18-year-olds teaching our 15-year-olds. We got our 15-year-olds coaching our 13-year-olds, and our 13-year-olds coaching up to 8-year-olds.
Right.
And so, like, it's just so like when I have 5 18-year-olds, like I got 5 assistant coaches at the same time. I
Mhm.
mean, and then so on and so forth. So when we go down, it's if a new kid comes into the program, I'll just be like, hey, go line up with Johnny. He knows
Mhm.
exactly what to do. Listen to what he's saying. Follow along with him. And so I pair them up so like they could all learn to begin their communication skills, their leadership skills, but like doing it in a way to where like they're not screaming at anybody. Obviously, they're not taking the power to another level
Mhm.
because everybody's watching everybody.
Yeah.
So it's from the bottom up and the top down. So it's fun to watch. Like I got 10-year-olds who could probably like if I wasn't there, at least run the first 30 minutes of a class.
Yeah.
So like it's fun to watch, like because we got 10-year-olds who were scared to death and wouldn't say 2 words, and then 5 months go on and they're a completely different kid.
And it definitely helps because they become teachers, they become leaders, and that's how and I'm sure with whatever program that they're in, they're probably leaders on their teams and things like that because of that type of teaching and things like that. So it definitely helps, and I know it helps with not leaving kids behind within the program and things like that. So and speaking of no kids behind, I know I wanted to bring that up as well because so tell me about that program, the no kid left behind program that you have.
Okay. Yeah, we just I just started a nonprofit not too long ago. We just got all
Mhm.
the paperwork certified.
Mhm.
Essentially it's I grew up in a single mother home and I had
Mhm.
2 other siblings, and although my mom works, 2, 3 jobs, like affording things like what I do right now was not an option. Playing on the expensive travel teams, going to, college camps was just not an option. The money wasn't there.
Yeah.
Um, so a big, like it's just motivational for me is to get this, hopefully get enough money raised up so when a kid has that, like that opportunity come up, he doesn't hear the word, or he or she doesn't hear the word no.
Okay.
Like, no, there's no money for you. I want to be a part of a group of humans that like, yeah, we got plenty of money for you. How much do you need?
Mhm.
So that's the goal with that. That's part of my life. It's huge for me. It's going to be something that like drives me the next couple of years.
Mhm.
Like I said, we do have a lot of talented kids, and it's just some of them don't have the means, and I want to help it with that as much as I can, one way or the other.
And that's awesome, man. Because especially because there's a lot of talented kids who get left behind because again you can't find them or they don't see them or they're trying to put the work in, but some of those kids end up being some of your best kids because they just want to come and work. That's
Right.
all they want to do.
And
Just
it's
want.
those kids are the ones like how I was as a kid. Like, I don't want them to be the ones who get frustrated or so angry to the point like they don't ever ask anyone for anything.
Yeah.
And then they think they could do it all on their own, and that usually ends up doing things they
Yeah.
should be doing. Is how we get in trouble. So I went
Mhm.
down that path too, and that's another thing for me. It's like I don't want kids making the same, horrible choices I was choosing to make at that time because I thought well, this is it. This is all I got. This is all I'm worth.
Mhm.
And, you know, it is what it is. And I don't want, like, I want to prevent that attitude as much as I can with, like I said, linking up with you guys down there.
Mhm.
The more we keep pushing the word, hopefully, like once we do our first fundraiser, we could gather up a nice chunk of change. And then when the fall comes around and these young men and women need money to get to colleges or to their visits or gas money if they're driving themselves or bus ticket, whatever it is, I mean, that we're going to be able to provide that little piece of the puzzle that helps them get over the hump to like start their adult life.
That's awesome. So, and especially like I said, you say I think that's kind of the reason why me and Terrell kind of hooked up. Him being from St. Louis, I grew up in Flint, Michigan. We're both from areas where you usually don't make it out.
Right,
If that
right.
makes sense, and obviously we just need people who are doing what you're doing to help kids who, some kids do want to stay home and they want to help and things like that, but some kids want to have options,
Hmm.
and I think that's the main thing with kids like us, or how we grew up, how we all grew up, is that not having options means that you only have to do things. You only want to do things one way or the only way that you see it. So I commend you for that, man. So, you know, speaking of which, obviously we got April 11th that's coming up here. So tell me, I know that they've been down there and they've done the camp before. So how did you guys kind of link up in the past, and what was that? Hey, I want to work. We want to work together type of deal with Grindhouse and the Performance Lab.
Through my brother-in-law, Ben
Mhm.
Terrell, through my brother-in-law, and he was
Mhm.
working with my nephew down there in Texas.
Mhm.
So I was like, hey, let's like obviously that's the football mecca down there. So I was like, let's link up. I want a connection down there. So like once we
Mhm.
do start get things moving and like we get some money raised up through the nonprofit, like I could bring a busload of kids down there and try to get some 7-on-7 going on with you guys.
Mhm.
Um, so like that was the first link. So like when Terrell and Chad came up, like because he was going to that U of I game to the
Mhm.
Michigan, their link up over there. I was like, yeah, dude, come through. And then also, I mean, it was quick. I mean, we had a good amount of kids show up, so I
Mhm.
think it's just kids like to see guys like him. Obviously,
Yeah.
like, oh, what did it take to get there? They have a ton of questions for guys who made it to the NFL, so it's a no brainer for me. Like if a guy in the NFL wants to show up in the gym and have a conversation with the kids, obviously let's bring that in and have that so our kids can have that positive experience.
Yeah, and obviously it definitely helps, with your own kids as well, because it brings probably more eyes and more things like that, and lets them see what you're doing there as well. So it's usually an easy thing for everybody. So obviously the camp that's coming on the 11th, a free camp.
Yep.
Just kind of free camp ages. I know typically we don't like to do ages, but ages 8 to 18. But I think it's probably if you can perform and do the things that need to be doing, that 8 may be maybe
Right.
be able to do it. So as far as like in the community, so like I said, the support for the actual Performance Lab in the community. I know we talked about what you do as support from parents and things like that, but how's your support been within the community for what you're doing as well?
As far as this camp goes, it's been outstanding. All the JFL programs have they've been sharing what we're doing.
Mhm.
Uh, those are all great. Like those football teams have been in the community for years,
Mhm.
so they've been passing it around, trying to get as many kids involved. It's keeping them active is important. So it's been good. Like the support from the JFL programs for the kids coming to see Terrell have been outstanding so far. So we're gonna keep pushing it hard this week. Hope a lot of kids show up. It's just like I said, that age group, it's crazy. They're all playing basketball, wrestling, doing
Yeah.
30 other things right now. So I think we'll get a good turnout though.
Yeah, and I'm old school. I actually like playing multiple sports, for as long as possible for some kids. So, how do you feel about? Because that was just this is kind of off base on my other questions, but I know you kind of brought it up a few times. So, with multiple sports,
Mhm.
you push that for your kids as well. Like, hey, I want you to play everything until you realize what you're good at, or just kind of, just
Yeah, I usually play that by the individual.
hmm
Um, but yeah, like for a group, like I always say, like play everything. Obviously, till I say usually about your freshman year. I
yeah,
was like, but then like sooner or later you're gonna have to commit to something if you're gonna make it. I mean, unless
yeah,
you're just a genetic freak. And
yeah, yeah.
like the majority of our kids, like they're not
No,
like, but they're outstanding workers. So I'll always have the conversation with like all my football players who think they can play basketball. It's like, stop it.
You
Like,
can't be a 6'4" power forward.
right. It's like those are the guys I got to argue with the most. Like, because I tell them it's like you're cutting into camp time, you're cutting into your exposure time, that's your meat and potatoes of your off season, and they just, well, I love to play ball. All right, dude. So it's like I'll argue with them for a little bit, but like if they're all in, they're usually like pretty headstrong. So I just turn to support them.
They don't realize it until it's too late. Like I have one buddy that I went to high school with. He played basketball. He actually ended up playing basketball and football at Michigan State. So he and played during the Final Four run and all that good stuff as well. So he was probably that genetic freak that you're talking about.
Right.
One of those rare instances that I can play wide receiver and power forward. So
see, we had a couple big dudes that are like 6'7", 6'8", that they went to college to play football, but they were different on the basketball court. They were like legit large humans. 6'7", 240 pounds in in high school. That's a big dude. So we have some big dudes, but like the majority of our basketball players are like legit basketball players. They're not playing football. They're playing basketball all year round.
Yeah. And even some of those kids, you got to kind of look at them like, hey, buddy, listen, you're a 5'10", 170 pound two guard.
Yep.
I could use you as a corner. Just letting you know.
Definitely have had those conversations. Like, you could catch football in the slot. Like, try to do sport. They're like, no way.
Yeah, and they realize it's senior year, then they try to come out and play football. Well, that's a whole conversation we could probably have there. Now for you with the Performance Lab and you personally, you got anything? Obviously, we have the camp coming up here. I know during the camp, during that time, Terrell's going to be doing private workouts as well. I'll probably put that link in our bio once we do this. But for you, with anything that's going on the Performance Lab, you got anything coming up? Anything coming down the pike that we want to shed some light on besides obviously the No Kid Left Behind program?
That information will be like down the road.
Okay.
That's still a work in progress, but I'll put we do have the high schools in the area are running a combine May 3rd for us in the area.
Okay.
I believe this is allowing college coaches to come view our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many college coaches are linked into it right now or like committed to it, but I don't remember the amount of college coaches that came last year. Mm-hmm. But it is an opportunity for our kids to get some exposure. So it's, anything, obviously push that out as much as we can. Like I said, shout out to all of our high school coaches in the area. They work really hard. So hopefully this, can help them as well for the college coaches that are trying to come see their athletes play.
Sounds good. When you got some more information on that, as the time and all that, send it my way. I can add it to the show notes and things like that. I just want to make sure that we have all your stuff out there for because especially when it can help kids. I'm all about helping kids get scholarships, and I know what where my contacts are as well. I'm pretty connected myself, so whatever
anything that can help our kids get some love, especially it's any football player's dream. I don't care, like, to go to Texas is a big deal.
Yeah,
people in Texas think you could play. That's usually means you could do something down there. So, there are a couple guys. There's a kid down in your neck of the woods, DeSoto. Mm-hmm. He was he played at a high school about 45 minutes from where I am right now. He left his freshman year. Mm-hmm. So we got some guys up here that could get after it. So anything to get our guys exposed to like what you guys are doing is basically my goal right now.
Yeah.
So, like, get our kids exposed.
And I try to tell people the only difference between Texas football probably and everywhere else is the line play. There are skill guys everywhere. Quarterback play maybe as well, but there are skill guys all over this country. But it's not a lot of full lines of 6'3", 6'4",
right?
And 300-pound guys. And my son was a 6'5", 270 defensive end that ran a 4.69 40. You don't just have those guys. You don't just have those guys. You know what I mean? So That's the only difference I feel. Like skill guys, we know that they grow on trees, so we want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that, but they got to be able to put the work in, and that's
Right.
the main thing. So, but yeah, man, I got everything that I need to hear, man. So, yeah, anything else you want to add? Anything else you got going on other than I said you got the May 3rd exposure? I'm going to call it exposure camp for now until I got the name. But anything else you got going on?
Not right now, man. Now we're just grinding, getting these kids ready for the summertime.
All right, guys. Remember, April 11th, Grindhouse will be at the Performance Lab in Bloomington, Illinois. Address is 404 Olympia Drive in Bloomington. That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. So,
Yes, sir.
all right. So, all right, Austin. I appreciate you joining me today, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem.